Hi, you're listening to Conchetta Q's Women of a Lovely Age. I'm Conchetta. I started this series as a podcast, but this year I decided to change it into a video podcast so I could match words with the images I see in my mind. So, whatever your lovely age, or for that matter, your gender, I'm cueing everybody today and every day to be happy. If you're new to this series, I want to explain what I mean by cueing. My cue is, well, it's just another one of those little nudges. We all receive them, and they're often ignored, especially if they pass by quickly. Cues, when we pay attention to them, are triggers, attempting to engage us with life in a new way. What I mean is, did you ever wake up with a new idea that seems to have come out of nowhere? Sometimes, especially if we're busy and distracted, our cues pop in when we're sleeping. When I wake up with a cue, I know I'm not having a dream, but I'm not quite awake yet either. When that happens, I've learned to pay attention to that first thought because it usually guides me to something I need to know or do. It's like something from the unseen side of life is always present. When we tune into that positive stimulus, we alter our lives. Pay attention to cues, and as I like to say, life can begin again. Each time we accept that nudge or special cue life is sending us, we change direction, step over the pitfalls, and begin again. Do you ever ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? Or maybe you've wondered, what's the point of it all? Well, you see, I think the answers often lie in cues circulating all around us. For instance, a cue may simply come from a conversation you happen to overhear while standing online somewhere. Something, a sentence, or maybe just a word you overhear resonates inside you, and you have an aha moment. You may not even know what it means yet, but it's there. Cues have a way of percolating in our heads until we understand their message. Or you could be driving in your car, feeling great, and suddenly the lyric from a song on the radio makes you teary. You can ignore it and it'll pass. Or ask yourself, what is this about? Because sometimes we're getting a cue about something still floating around in our brains that needs to be released. Sometimes I see an image that makes me smile. But if it makes me sad, I think, have I just been cued? Do I need to make some changes and get those joyful feelings back into my life? Because cues can also be reminders of unfinished business. If we ignore them, they just keep coming back until we listen to them and open ourselves to the message we need to receive. When we do that, something shifts and life begins again. We can choose to continue banging at closed doors or trudging down the same familiar, uncomfortable paths over and over again until we get the message. However long it takes, the opportunity to fulfill our purpose is always here. Our road may twist and turn like a pretzel, sometimes too salty, sometimes broken into little pieces. But until we draw our last breath, life continues sending us cues, ways for us to put it back together and begin again. Actually, today I want to talk about more than just being happy. I want to be joyful. There's a difference, you know. Happiness is temporary. What I mean by that is we feel happy because of what happens to be going on around us. Certain circumstances make us happy, but those things can change in a nanosecond. Psychologists say each person's happiness has a baseline. Do you notice how some happy people seem happier than other people who say they're happy? Studies suggest that some of us, whether due to genetics or environment or habits formed in childhood, are predisposed to having higher levels of what we call happiness. Wherever your happy baseline may fall, it fluctuates up and down from that level according to what's going on in our lives. Like, well, a new job, we're happy. Yay, we moved 2 notches above our baseline. A disappointment or a loss in our life, and boom, we drop down below our happy place. But over time, everyone eventually returns to their personal happy baseline level. So, if that baseline is low, I wonder, is it possible to move it higher? Is it possible to have a happiness level that's beyond, above our current one? I suspect it's something we can do if we work at it, but since happiness fluctuates and depends on exterior circumstances, I would rather focus my attention on being joyful, because joy comes from a much deeper place. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It exists even when life is challenging. Joy develops over a lifetime. We experience it through meaningful relationships, the satisfaction of worthwhile achievements, and most importantly, joy emanates from the spiritual connection we have with life itself. It takes a lot to make joyful people angry. I notice they get past stressful situations quickly because their joy baseline rises up and says, just let it go. Joy makes us resilient, patient, and optimistic. The joyful glass is half full and rising. Joyful people radiate peace. When bad stuff happens, they don't automatically go into crash and burn mode. So, how do we get there? Well, I think we begin by asking ourselves, when do I feel most at peace? When? For me, it comes when I sit in the silence, aware of all that is good in my life. Because joy is simple. It begins with gratitude. I'm reminded of a quote by the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. He wrote, "Sometimes your joy is the source of your smile, but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy." What makes you smile? Think about that. But first, find a quiet space and light a candle. Candles symbolize the illumination of our mind and spirit. Lighting it begins our time of mindfulness. The flickering light helps to create a sense of calm. Then, sit quietly, close your eyes, and continue to see the light of the candle in your mind. Right in the center of your forehead, there's nothing but the light. See it as you begin to remember what makes you smile. It can be as simple as the image of a daisy, the wagging tail of your dog, or the purr of your cat. When you're ready to open your eyes, write down what you learned. That's one great way to cultivate and practice experiencing joy. Treat yourself. Decide to bring those images that make you smile into your life. Place at least one of your joy toys in each room of your home. One on your desk, in the kitchen, at your bedside, on the windowsill. I'm reminded of what Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist and humanitarian Pearl S. Buck said, and I quote, "Many people lose the small joys in the hope for the big happiness." Wow. Focus on those small joys. Hear those finger snaps? You have just been cued. Smile and find your joy. I've always loved Mark Twain's thoughtful sense of humor. He said, and I quote, "Some people bring joy wherever they go, and some people bring joy whenever they go." If you've enjoyed listening to Conchetta Q's Women of a Lovely Age, men too, hit the subscribe button and notify yourself so that you'll know when my next podcast, videocast, comes out. Add your comments or questions below, and if you're on Instagram, my funny dog videos are there to make you smile. You can follow us at Benissimo Boss Dog. It's Benissimo is Benissimo. It means fine, perfecto in Italian, then an underscore, and Boss Dog, one word with a capital B and a capital D. There's your cue again. Whatever you do, wherever you are, be happy and be joyful. Why not?